We're here for cocktails.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Yeah. Yes, today.
Ice is melting. I like how you guys are drinking. Hello, welcome.
I got my chicken drunk today. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello. Hi there.
We're excited. This is going to be fun.
Today we have a very special guest. We have Leif and Colin from Santa Fe Spirits. Yay!
Yay!
Hey. Take my mask off so I can talk properly.
They're a local distillery. We're so happy to have them.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
I can run you through all about us and then hand over to Leif to make cocktails, unless we're interrupting.
That sounds
No.
great.
Oh, no. This is what we do. We're all stuck home. So what else do we have to do today?
We're all stuck at home on a Friday. Actually, Leif and I are at the distillery. I'll give you a quick tour of the tasting room any moment.
Okay.
And we're going to mix up one of our favorite cocktails, but we'll keep that as a secret just to keep you on the edge of your seat, or hopefully the edge of your couch right now. So we did start drinking. It is a Friday afternoon after 5 o'clock. We're okay.
Yeah,
And,
it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It is. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Welcome to Santa Fe Spirits. We're the local distillery out here in Santa Fe. We're now the oldest in the state, believe it or not.
Is that right?
As you can really tell by my grey hair, that always works for being the oldest. And we've got a great range of spirits, most of which you can see behind us. As I said, we're at the distillery, which is down at the bottom end of Airport Road here in for those of you who know Santa Fe. And a great little place to come visit. Here, I'm going to pick this up.
Yeah, show us the tasting room.
Great tasting room. We even cut barrels in half for decoration over here. It's kind of empty now because you can see what we're doing here. All the seats are pushed aside because we can't have anybody in the building yet, as per state regulations, which makes a lot of sense. But you can see our wonderful tasting room.
It's so pretty.
It's actually kind of pretty. And I'll run you through a couple of things you can do. Lee's going to tell you the wonderful cocktails, but we're going to have gin here.
Oh,
Wheeler's
nice.
Gin, named after Montague Wheeler, who was the cartographer that laid out the meets and bounds in New Mexico. Lewis and Clark went north, and Wheeler went south.
Oh, wow. Yeah, thank you.
Is that like Wheeler Peak? Is that
That's fact. Well, Wheeler's Peak was named after the Wheeler, or we named the gin after the peak. And it's everything there is from sourced within 30 miles of Santa Fe. So it smells and tastes like a rainstorm in the desert. It's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Cool.
All of these spirits, this is our vodka expedition, which is a lot of fun. It's a corn-based vodka, 6 times distilled. All of these, over the weeks, you'll see us put into cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fun one. Apple
Okay,
brandy.
so I have a question. Isn't vodka usually potato?
Not always. I'll let Leif talk more about that.
So basically, vodka can be made from anything that has sugar. Beets, mostly, potatoes, like you mentioned. Most vodkas you'll see are made from some kind of grain. So wheat, corn, rye. But like I said, beets, grapes, anything that you can have sugar you can distill into vodka.
Wow.
Way back in the day
Why did you
back in the
choose
day.
Corn for us adds kind of I would describe corn vodka as having a little bit of sweetness in a good way, a little bit more luscious in the mouth than rye or wheat vodkas. And then your potato vodka that you referenced, Brianna, has kind of a really luscious, viscous mouthfeel. For us, the corn is just nice and smooth and mixable, 80 proof, great cocktail vodka.
Cool.
Lots of fun
Okay,
stuff.
thanks.
And if you're living in New Mexico, all these spirits are available in all the chains, from Whole Foods, Albertsons, Smith's, Trader Joe's, Total Wine. Who else are we missing? All the main chains have us, and we love our local liquor stores.
Yeah, if you're in Santa Fe, go check out Susan's or Turbo Man. If you're in Albuquerque, our friends at Jubilation are some of our favorite partners. And then don't forget we sell our spirits here, which is so you can get it.
Yeah, you do curbside. They'll do curbside.
Curbside at the moment, and we're really known for our downtown location. A lot of locals will go to Reed Street. I think Lisa's a favorite there, aren't you, Lisa?
I love that place. And when you were, I was last there, it was right before COVID. My mom and I like to go there on Friday nights after work just to hang because it's so delicious and cool and fun. And I love the artisanal way you make the cocktails of just really knowing what you're doing, all the homemade, foodie, cool mixes, and you really take it to the next level. It's great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a great location down on Reed Street, and we can promote other people and say we're a block east of Tomasita's because everybody knows Tomasita's.
Yeah, so everybody knows Tomasita's.
We are there. One more spirit quickly. This one's
my fave.
This is apple brandy. It's a Calvados style, which means there's no sugar. It's a dry after dinner aperitif or digestif, and made with New Mexico apples from Tesuque, where I live.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. I love that brandy.
Yeah.
Me too. It's so good.
We could talk about Santa Fe spirits.
You're gonna come and visit.
Yeah, no, do. If you ever come to visit, you won't forget Santa Fe spirits. Google it, and you'll see there's a north in-town location and a south one where we are.
Yeah, and always drop Colin's name because everyone else does. So he's notorious for being a little loose with giving away freebies here and there.
Our bartenders don't listen anymore. If you say Colin said I could have one, they'll give you one. Don't worry. That's good for filling the tasting room.
So you guys have outdoor seating, right?
We do have a little bit. Unfortunately, at the moment, with the pandemic that's going on, we are doing cocktails there. We could only sit 6 people there. It's a small patio with the distancing. It's I do agree with the governor's regulations. I really do. I think she's doing a great job.
Our patio is small enough; it doesn't feasibly make monetary sense for us to operate at the moment.
Understand.
Well, since we're talking about that, you guys also have hand sanitizer, don't you?
We do.
Ooh, that's a good push.
Good push.
Speaking of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
Yeah, we do a tiny little 4-ounce bottle. Where you can sanitize any which way you like. If you've got a little business or you want to do your whole house, you can do 32 ounces, which comes in a spray head.
So can we get that on the website, or where do we buy that?
Yeah, basically we currently are only open for curbside, but you go to the website, order it, and tell us about when you're going to be here, in the email, or just come up curbside. We'll have the order ready for you. There's a phone number out there.
Okay.
Call the phone number from your car and we deliver it. We do gallons as well.
Nice.
So if you really want to top it up, save some plastic because they're all in plastic, I'm afraid. But if you've got one of these, you can fill it up many times from one of these.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish your governor was as smart too, whoever wrote that, because we have a good governor.
We do. We have a good governor here. We're not. But hey, we're here for cocktails. We can talk as we go. Most important thing, or the most important person, I should say, is Leif, and he's going to run you through a cocktail.
Cool, guys. Well, this is so fun. So we're going to do it with the ladies and.
Move to the middle so we can see you, honey.
Yeah, are you going to do? Maybe you should do the
twist.
Oh, get your cameraman.
Yeah, we're going to show you. You're going to just see my friends kind of working hands in action, right? Totally sanitized.
Yeah.
We're going to join the ladies hopefully every other week in the Corona Kitchen and do a cool cocktail demo for you all. I think and I hope that Lisa and Debriana are going to make the drink along with us. So we decided, obviously, to start with one of our favorites. It's a pre-prohibition classic cocktail everyone's familiar with. This is the Manhattan. So we're going to do our twist on the Manhattan. And this is a fun kind of intro to cocktails for this series because It shows us kind of the different components in a cocktail. Generally, you have what I would consider the base spirit, which is the majority of the ingredient in the cocktail. You have what's usually called a modifier, which would be a secondary liquor, and then some other sort of mixers. We're going to do bitters today, so that's kind of fun to be able to see that, you know, it's pretty easy to build a cocktail. So this classic cocktail, like I mentioned, is the Manhattan. We're going to do our version with our Colin Keegan American single malt. So I'm going to talk about the whiskey a little bit. All right. This is our flagship offering. As Colin mentioned, we've been distilling in Santa Fe for 10 years, and we've been making this whiskey for almost that whole amount of time because it obviously has to rest in barrel. So we're making this, the Colin Keegan single malt, really in kind of a Scotch style. Colin's an Englishman, but he loves Scotch. I'm an Irishman, but I love Scotch. So we wanted to make an American.
Oh, well, they really like a Scotch.
So 10 years ago, when we started making American single malt, there were 4 American single malts on the market. There are over 120 now. So it's quite a growing category. So we use 100% malted barley as the base of our Colin Keegan. Unique to this, we do for the Southwest and the flavor that we like, 30% of the barley we mesquite smoke. So it gives it a really nice sort of a campfire feel. So really feels like a Scotch because of that. So no peat, but we get our smoke from the mesquite. We rest this after double distillation for at least 3 years. We're getting used bourbon barrels from Kentucky as well as new barrels from the Kelvin Cooperage. So we use a mix of new and used American oak, roughly about a 3 or a 4. We call that a medium char. And like I said, this whiskey rests for a minimum of 3 years. We blend a bunch of different barrels, some new, some first use, some second, some third use, for a really nice and smooth, awesome drinkable whiskey on its own. Bottling it a little higher than the normal 80 proof. This goes into bottle at 92 proof. Comes out of the cask at about 118 cask strength, and we use our Sangre de Cristo mountain water to proof it down. So traditionally, I like to use higher proof booze in cocktails, especially if you're going to use multiple ingredients, because it really does translate to that final flavor profile to have a little bit higher proof booze, especially in whiskey-based cocktails. So that's enough. That's enough about Colin Keegan. So this is going to be our Mesquite Manhattan, but I wanted to talk for just a sec about how easy it would be to do a couple different variations, right? So you need your base spirit. Traditionally, oh, there I am. I was looking at the wrong screen. Traditionally, Manhattan's, the base spirit is a rye whiskey. That's, what we're using pre-Prohibition. During Prohibition, those whiskeys started to get a lot harder to get. So Canadian whiskey started taking that place. Bourbon whiskeys these days, people make Manhattans with, but traditionally it should be a rye whiskey. So this actually, our take on a Manhattan is actually what I would more refer to as a Rob Roy. So a Rob Roy is a Manhattan that is Scotch based. But for all intents and purposes, people know the Manhattan more, so we're going to stick with this and we'll call it, I like it because it's got alliteration. So this is our Mesquite Manhattan. Before we make the drink, I wanted to show you some of the bar tools, and I think it'll be a fun juxtaposition to see, what you may have at home or what you may not. Traditionally, what you would need in a bar. What does Lisa have?
All I have is this sort of shot glass, this, a muddler, and a steel straw. That's all I got.
Perfect.
I have a measuring cup.
Oh, that's a hell of a cocktail in a measuring cup.
So I'm going to show you the traditional bar tools. This, for most people, would be a pint glass. This in the bartending world is called a mixing glass. Right. You also have your Boston shaker tin. Oh. Those two go together.
Here's my Corona kitchen shaker. It's a ball glass.
My Corona kitchen shaker. Nice.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that being said, we're not going to use either of those. So set those to the side. I just wanted to show you some other tools. This is the Fancy Pants mixing glass. So this is a crystal Yari mixing glass. Really, really nice. This is a traditional bar spoon. There's tons of different versions, but we're going to talk about and stir cocktails.
Oh, you got one.
I'm regular.
I like that.
You're so swanky.
This we call the Hawthorne Strainer.
Oh,
It goes either in the top of your mixing glass or fits
Corona Kitchen strainer.
perfectly in there. Oh, that's nice. See, that's really nice. Brianna actually has what we would call a double strainer. So if you have cocktails that you have stuff in them, ingredients that you don't want to get in your teeth, you would strain through that double strainer. So you're even one step ahead of us, Brianna. And then lastly, this is a jigger. I love these OXO mixing jiggers that have
that's pretty.
Inside it has all of the different gradients, and then it has that fancy little pour spout.
I'm using.
Look, I have a pour spout. I have a pour spout.
You got it.
Okay, so this is a super simple cocktail fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix now. So get whatever your mixing glass is. I'm going to use the traditional Yari mixing glass.
Ball jar.
Perfect.
That works. Lisa, you ready?
Ball jar.
So we're gonna start with our base spirit. In this case, our Keegan single malt, and we're gonna do 2 ounces. This is a super simple mix. So it's just 2 to 1. So
Okay.
2 ounces of whiskey.
Okay. Well, in case anybody needs to know, a quarter of a cup is 2 ounces.
Holy crap! This is a lot of whiskey.
Yeah. So this is not a cocktail for
It's not
non-alcoholic. We'll put it that way.
It's terrible.
How does Colin describe it? It'll knock your skirt up.
Okay.
It'll blow your skirt up.
Blow your skirt up. So the
Okay,
second
it'll blow
ingredient
your
we're
skirt
going
up,
to use
Deb.
is
Okay.
the second
so what-
ingredient, as I mentioned earlier, we would call a modifier because it's less ounce-wise. So we're going to use our favorite vermouth. Oh, look, we have our Noilly Prat. This is a really nice kind of medium-bodied French vermouth. I love the Carpano Antica if you want something a little bit heavier and more caramel. This is another one of our favorites, this Kochi. So yeah, whatever your favorite sweet vermouth is, and just, try different ones out. It really does make a big difference. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 ounce of sweet vermouth.
1 ounce. Oh my God! I'm going to be on my app.
2 to 1.
We have fans out there, people. Somebody's saying that this is what they order when they come here to visit.
Ah, good.
Well, we look forward to seeing you.
Perfect. We look forward to seeing you. Oh, I see them. Yeah, thanks.
So you have your ounce of sweet vermouth.
Did it?
I just wanted to quickly mention that vermouth is fortified, but it should be stored in the refrigerator. So dry or sweet vermouth, once you open it,
Good to know.
throw your vermouth in the refrigerator.
Okay.
I had no
The other
idea.
thing now is, so I mentioned you can do switch up the whiskey. I wouldn't recommend it since this is our favorite, but you can switch up the whiskey. You can switch up the vermouth. You also hear people when they're ordering martinis and Manhattans talking about dry versus wet. So I wanted to mention that real quick. So that just refers to the amount of vermouth that's going into the cocktail. So if I wanted to do a wet Manhattan, I would do more vermouth. If I wanted to do a dry Manhattan, I would do dry vermouth. If I wanted to, and this is funny, so I was working. Go ahead.
Would you do equal parts of if it's wet with vermouth and whiskey?
So what I'm starting with is this basic 2 to 1, right? So 2 to 1. If you wanted a little bit wet, you'd just do a little bit more than 1 ounce. If you wanted to do it a little bit dry, you'd do a little bit less than 1 ounce.
Okay.
And then there's also, you'll hear, I was working at a bar years ago in Albuquerque, and I heard a patron ask my fellow bartender for a perfect Manhattan. And she said, "Well, sir, I'll try my best." And I said, "No, it's an actual cocktail, right?" So not exactly for my taste, but people like them. So if you like a little bit drier, then you can do a perfect Manhattan, which is just equal parts sweet and dry vermouth. So it's kind of fun to see how you can, on one cocktail, you can do many, many different versions depending on your preferences on the cocktail.
Okay.
So that's the vermouth component. Really, really fun. Aside, if you wanted to, we have an unaged white whiskey. This is our Silver Coyote. It's a pure malt white whiskey.
God, I've never seen it.
It's absolutely delicious. Really, really nice mixer. If you wanted to try, especially maybe on a hot day, to do a different variation of the Manhattan, you could do a blonde or a white Manhattan. that would be using an unaged whiskey and traditionally a Blanco or a dry vermouth, maybe with orange bitters, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So we have our vermouth, we have our Colin Keegan whiskey. Last is we're going to use just real traditional Angostura bitters. So we're going to do a couple of dashes of Angostura. This is another fun way if you wanted to switch up, this cocktail a little bit. You could do a different style of bitters. This is another one of my favorites from Fee Brothers. This is a whiskey barrel aged bitters.
Okay. Leif, I have some orange Angostura in my fridge.
Yeah, perfect. I was going to say this is my one of my favorite orange. Regan orange is great. Hella orange is great. Peychaud bitters makes a really, really nice Manhattan if you like a little bit more kind of a cherry candy flavor. So that's another fun way to twist it up a little bit is change out the bitters. That's it.
Do those have to be in the fridge too?
Bitters does not have to be in the fridge, no.
I keep mine in the fridge. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Don't anybody make a joke about putting it in the freezer. Don't anybody do it.
Don't do that. So we've built our 2-to-1 Manhattan in our mixing glass or our bathtub or our mason jar or whatever. We're going to add ice.
Okay, you're adding ice. How much ice do you add?
Ice. Oh, ice.
Lots of ice. So because you get
ice. Okay.
Add a good amount of ice. If I was doing this in a pint or a mixing glass, I would fill it virtually almost all the way to the top. But I just don't want to fill it so much that when I stir it, it spills over.
Okay.
So now that I have my cocktail on ice, I'm gonna stir. So traditionally, what you do is you put the back of your spoon, and press that towards the outside of your glass, and then I'm just gonna stir like this, right?
Okay.
So not only is stirring this cocktail making it cold, which is obviously more pleasant to drink, especially in OE America where we love ice, but it also is actually an ingredient in the cocktail. So this dilution is part of the cocktail.
Okay, so we're like being here with Cuisinarts.
No, that's too much dilution.
Yeah, we don't want to whip this into a blended cocktail, or maybe you do. I don't know. I'm just showing you the traditional way. So I'm going to stir until it's cold, or roughly about, say, 10 seconds of good stirring.
Okay.
So once we've reached the dilution that we want, we're done stirring. I'm going to take my Hawthorne strainer and put it directly on top of my mixing glass. Now, traditionally, what we would serve this cocktail in is either a coupe, or some people would call this a martini glass. It's traditionally called a cocktail glass. I like the coupe because it's nice and cute. I've had some ice in there, so the coupe is actually chilled, which is really, really nice. I'm going to discard that.
Okay.
Pour it in.
I have my wonderfully chilled
I have a giant glass.
cocktail coupe. Oh my gosh, we might need to double up the proportions on Lisa's glass. And then we're just going to strain without ice into that cold, chilled coupe.
Okay, I could have used a smaller glass.
I did it. Okay.
So I briefly wanted to talk about, the whole dichotomy between should a cocktail be stirred and should a cocktail be shaken. The general rule that I go by is if a cocktail is comprised of all spirits, it should be stirred. The vodka martini, I would say, is probably the exception to that because people really like that ice skating rink that when you shake it on top. Stuff like margaritas that have juice mixers and fruit mixers really should be shaken. So if anybody shakes your Manhattan, well, I guess you still drink it, but lastly, we're gonna garnish our Manhattan, our Mesquite Manhattan, with a cherry. Not one of those disgusting bright red maraschino cherries that you get dying in the side of the bar well there. These are really nice Amarena cherries. Don't have that formaldehyde, don't have all of that red number 5.
Oh my
God.
God.
I really like using an Amarena cherry. There's also Luxardo, which makes the original maraschino cherry. Those are phenomenal. I'm going to cheers you, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about cherries, but this looks too delicious.
Your face,
cheers.
Your face.
Now we can go up a bit.
Okay,
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm putting orange twist in mine. I'm adding an orange twist. In mine.
Perfect. Orange twist. I wanted to show you guys too. So we love doing what we call drunken cherries. So I would take those Amarena cherries, which are just a nice Italian dark cherry.
Oh my God.
I've got my little canning jars, right? So I drained the juice out of it and I made a few different versions of drunken cherries. So these have been sitting actually since pre-COVID. They're very shelf stable. But this one I did lemon peel, tawny port, and cassis. Fancy.
Yum.
Grand Marnier and orange zest. This one is amaretto, dried apricot, clove, and vanilla. So as crazy as you want to get with those drunken cherries, it really adds a nice little touch to it. So this is our Mesquite Manhattan. And Colin, God, that probably took, what, half an hour to make a cocktail? I mean, if you had ordered that from me at the bar, hopefully I could get it out a little bit quicker while we were making it together. We do have a simpler version, and this is going to be, another shameless plug. But Colin's going to show you how he makes his Manhattan when he gets home in about half an hour from now. And I'm going to go back to the mixing board right here and let Colin show you.
Cheers, because this is delicious.
As you probably have guessed, Leif is the sophisticated end to what we do here at Santa Fe Spirits. I do a lot of talking, and I have a different way to make a cocktail. I'm going to show you how quickly I make a cocktail. I get a glass. I buy from Santa Fe Spirits a Mesquite Manhattan, and Manhattan's obviously named after Manhattan, the island. But if you look on our label, that's the skyline of Santa Fe.
I love it.
The farm building. It's got the cathedral. It's got a classic adobe. It's got the Inner Loretto church, the Inner Loretto there. So I do that. I open it.
So cute. Here.
I put on a little bit of ice, and I pour myself a cocktail. That's a hell of a big one. And that's me done. But I think you agree. There's two ways to do it. There's
the right way and the easy way.
The right way, and we can show you both here. The right way and the easy way. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Oh my God. So great. This is perfect.
So do you guys sell the cherries?
We
do
don't.
Not, no.
Okay.
We don't. You can buy the cherries really at all good liquor store supply places. I mean,
or just specialty grocers.
Specialty grocers. I know Carney's carried them here in Santa Fe.
Yeah, that big one liquor place on Zaffarano has them. What's it called?
Okay, so I'm just going to say, if you haven't had these kind of cherries, you must have these cherries. These are phenomenal cherries.
They're life-changing.
Really
You're going to get sticker shock at $17 on average per jar, but you get, I don't know, 60 cherries in there.
Yeah, they're only like 700 calories a piece, so it's not that big a deal.
I'll tell you a little story of my homeland. So the original cherry place in Italy that made these was actually Croatian first, and then during the war they had to move their factory to Italy to make them. Anyway, that's all I know.
That's good to know. Cheers. Here's to the history of cherries.
So I'm just going to start foaming at the mouth now. But anyway.
That was fabulous. And you guys should know that we will be having Santa Fe Spirits on regularly. And sometimes we'll be able to do mocktails. This is not one of those nights, but you should know about the cherries.
Yeah, the cherries go fine in a mocktail. As Lee said, 700 calories a cherry, but you're going to be fine. No more than 2 in a drink.
So I wanted to say thank you, and I just learned so much. Learned a lot. Thank you so much.
And now there is a distillery in the building, and we will save that trip for another evening. But wait till you guys see the distillery. It is so much fun. And we're
We can
just
do a
so
tour of the
thankful
distillery.
to have you guys.
It's possible by the time we next do this. Sorry. I was going to say, it's possible by the time we next do this,
Throw
keep it in
out
our downtown place, because we'll be opening that sometime soon. It'll be a big celebration for us.
I just wanted to throw out, support your local business. And if you have never tried out there a really top shelf artisanal company like this, it is worlds away from what you buy at the store. Like even the best things, this is just worlds away in quality. So please try it. Come on. It's worth it. Life's too short.
Somebody is asking, how do you spell the name of the cherry?
Amarena is A-M-A-R-N-A, Amarena, ding. And the other one that to look for is called Luxardo, and that is just Luxardo Maraschino. So Luxardo. They make a line of liqueurs as well. But yeah, that's the original maraschino cherry. They're candied, and they're absolutely phenomenal.
Product of Italy.
More you know.
Thanks, everyone, saying to your health, and thank you so much. This was,
Salud.
we are so happy to have you guys.
Happy weekend.
Yes. Have a very healthy and safe weekend, everyone.
All right, we'll see you again. We'll see you again.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much. Everyone, be safe. Wear a mask.
Bye. Yeah, wear a mask.
Use hand sanitizer.
Social media.
Here's my cat. Bye. Bye.
That's it.